So today we're going to share our thoughts on Kassia in terms of investment potential for capital appreciation as well as rental. For those that have not heard of Kassia, the highlight of Kassia would be its PSF. So the starting PSF of Kassia will be 1,800 PSF, and for OCR project at District 17, this is actually a very attractive PSF because the line in purple, this one, is actually the average PSF for OCR project is already at 2,100. So for Kassia 1,008 for freehold project, is very attractive. So this will be the units available left for Kassia. We have a 1 bedder all the way up to a 4 bedroom. The lowest PSF will be the 4 bedroom at 1,800 plus PSF. On average, the PSF will be about 1,900 PSF. So some information about Kassia is by 3 developers, CDL, Hong Leong and TID. The TOP date is end November 2027. It's a freehold project and along Flora Drive. And where Flora Drive is right here. Alright, so this Flora Drive amidst all the rest of the developments. And just next to it would be the Changi Prison, and further down that's where the Changi Terminal is. So Kassia will be the last plot of land to be developed right here in Flora Drive. So interesting fact for those that have not known, they are built in alphabetical order like Azalea Park, Bellotto Park, Carissa Park. So A, B, C, D, then E, F, and finally G. Right, the Gale, which is the second youngest freehold project there. Newest project there that is freehold will be Parc Komo, which TOP back in 2023. So amenities for this area would be limited within 1 kilometer. Preschools, there is quite a number of them. And there is one bus there, which is bus 5, just right in front of Kassia, bring you from Pasir Ris interchange all the way to Bukit Merah interchange. So although it's only just one bus, but bus 5 is actually very convenient in a way that it brings you to quite a number of MRT stations. They do hit MRT stations like the Upper Changi, Simei, even all the way to the central area like Novena and as well as Newton. So bus 5 do pass by quite a number of MRT stations. So on to the main event, we would just want to take a look whether Kassia has a good potential capital appreciation. We're going to take 2 new projects, which is Parc Komo and as well as Jovel. Jovel is very near to Kassia, which is just here, and it's a 99 years leasehold. And Parc Komo will be back in 2023, and it's actually a freehold project. So both Jovel and Parc Komo did actually make profits. Jovel, the highest profit so far is about 200,000, and it's for a 3 bedroom. The highest profit for Parc Komo will be $500,000. It's the size of 1,800 square feet, and this is for a 5 bedder. The PSF is about 1,700. So we can see actually Parc Komo and Jovel in the resale market. These are the respective PSF. For Jovel, it's at about 1,500 PSF. For Parc Komo, it's about 1,700 plus PSF. So for Kassia, which launched at about 1,800 to 2,000 PSF, is actually a pretty attractive price point compared to the current resale market. But this increase for Parc Komo and Jovel because of the development itself. Because if you see there there's actually quite a lot of competition in that development. So as we all know, back in 2019 there's actually the COVID pandemic. So if you notice that all these developments just nice they are launched somewhere in 2018 to 2019. So there's a strong search demand for any units. The property price index island-wide actually increased. So you can see for resale, the demand also spike up. So this is what we'll be looking at. Is it just because of the market that the price increases, or does the development itself have any strong demand for the new launches there? So I took some of the newer freehold developments there to take as comparison. For example, the blue line will be the Gale, which TOP back in 2013, and followed by the newest, of course, is Parc Komo at 2023. So for the Gale, upon TOP, you can see that there is actually a price gap between the rest of the older developments, but in general you can see that they are all trending towards the same line in terms of PSF. And same thing in 2019, regardless of which unit that you bought, there's definitely some form of capital appreciation. So in terms of PSF sold, you can see the Parc Komo is still higher than in terms of the Gale as well as Flora Park, which TOP back in 2009. But let's say if we take in terms of price point, example, we take a 2 bedder from the Gale, Flora Park as well as Parc Komo. You can see in terms of price point, they do actually converge to a singular price point. So what this means is that for a buyer that's buying there, they are actually paying the same price, but for the Gale and Flora Park, the PSF is lower due to its size because it's a huge size. So buyers do actually have a lot of choice in such a development there. So in terms of PSF, it doesn't mean that Parc Komo is still earning just because it's new, but consumers there really do have a choice of getting other developments there as well. Okay, so just taking an example, let's say for example back then in 2021, if I bought the Gale, there's a 2+ study which is the size of 1,000 plus square feet, And in terms of PSF, it's being purchased at 978 PSF. Quantum-wise, it's being bought at near 990,000. And then plus 100k renovations is about near 1.1 million. So for this size, right, I actually do have a good study room with windows, as well as 2 proper bedrooms and a huge balcony and a closed kitchen concept. So compared to, let's say if I have this budget, I could have bought a unit at Parc Komo, example about 1.1 million or so, at 1,500 plus PSF, and this would be the layout I get. Right, I do have an open kitchen concept, no study, and this is at 721 square feet. And for the gear unit that's being bought in 2021 and sold then in 2024, have made a profit of about 300,000. And for the same development in Parc Komo, if I've bought about 700 plus square feet for a 2-bedder, the profit you can see over here is also on average about 200,000, but a lower end of 200,000. Although we do see an increase in the price in Parc Komo, and because of the strong competition there in terms of the market sentiments, even you buy a freehold back then in Flora Drive or Flora Road, right, you probably would have made a decent profit also. So the only strength about Parc Komo right now, right, would actually be its newer facilities, as well as newer renovations, but because of that, they come with a higher PSF and smaller size. If you want to sell your unit there and make a profit, right, it's not impossible, but because of the amount of supply and choice that the buyers have over there, you do really have to wait for the market sentiments to really get better, rather than just a strong demand for the development itself. So if you don't buy Parc Komo at the point of time, what other developments can we actually buy? Right, so we have another one that actually launched around the same timing, which is Treasure at Tampines. So this is also a project in the east side. So for Treasures, right, at a 5-bedder that is smaller than the size of the Parc Komo, lower PSF, and it's a 99 years compared to a freehold. Right, so then we can buy at about 2 mil, Parc Komo 2.6 million. But in terms of the profit, Treasure actually sold at about $1 million. Right, so compared to just now Parc Komo, right, it's about $500,000 profits. And on average, right, even before the hike of the pricing, they also sold about on average 600k. So it's even higher than what the highest profit Parc Komo got. Right, so this is actually a good example of 99 years leasehold versus freehold. Right, so not necessarily if you get a freehold, right, there is very strong demand for the unit. Right, so because there's also quite a number of factors that actually really affect the supply and demand. So on macro, of course, this is the market conditions. For Parc Komo and Jovel is a very good example that the property price increases throughout, not only Parc Komo and Jovel, all the property price there in Flora Drive and Flora Road also increase. There are also other macro things that people will look for example, like the amenities, which is the school, transportation, and public transport especially. Then for the development itself, like the material, facilities, layout, or even the maintenance fee. Yeah, so all these plays a part in the demand and supply for the development itself. So if capital appreciation is not so optimum there, what about for rental? This is an example of the rental there. New developments like Jovel, Parc Komo, and older developments like Flora Parc, the Gale, as well as Azila Park. And the unit size we're looking at will be 2-bedroom. So you can see in terms of PSF, they are still higher than the older developments, but in terms of pricing, that's where they all start to converge again. Right, so because of the size of the older developments, for example, like Flora Park, we could rent at 2,800 per month and a size of 915 square feet. For the Jovel, a newer development, a smaller size at 500 plus square feet, also at 2,800 per month. So again, on PSF, it looks higher for the newer developments, but if you go down to the options that what the tenants have, they do have the option of either getting a bigger size or newer development. So in terms of competition there, it's going to be very steep for rental as well. So this is summary for Kassia. So the pros is Flora Drive there is very near to the Tampines Expressway, so if you're driving, it's very convenient. It has a peaceful environment. In terms of entry price, it's a safe entry price. On average, it's about 2,100 PSF for OCR project, but this is about 1,009 to 2,000 PSF. It's a good and efficient layout. For the layout itself, you can actually remove some parts of the wall to either combine the rooms or even make a bigger living space. Yeah, of course, freehold is definitely a plus point here. And one more plus point would actually be the progressive payments. As the interest rate right now is towards the high side, so we know that it will come down, but we just don't know when it will be. Having progressive payment means that the amount of loan will be slowly released. For example, like the foundation stage, then the bricks and wall stage. So this is where your interest rate, although now still high, but you're paying lesser because you're not paying the full amount for the house yet, not the full mortgage yet, but you're paying progressively. The cons will be very little public transport, there's only bus 5, and there are little amenities there. Still competition, and there's a lot of choice of unit there for those people that are buying in the resale market. And because of this, you might not see a good amount of profits for the area. So who is this suitable for? It's suitable for people that are looking for long-term investment. I would say ideally 10 years and above. And what are we waiting for? is you're waiting for the shift in the demand and supply. So property, there's always a balance in demand and supply. So once the demand, like in the COVID times, there's very strong demand, that's where the price will go up, and you're waiting for the market to increase in price before you let it go and earn the capital appreciation. So those that have budget constraint and wish to start on their property investment journey, this might be a good project to enter, but again, keep for long term, not for short term gains, and for own stay because of its good and efficient layout. So for those that means Kassia, these are the upcoming new launches, which I feel may have better potential for capital appreciation. The one that I'm actually looking at would actually be Chuan Park, Emerald of Katong, as well as Parktown Residence. I think these would be interesting projects to look at, and especially for Chuan Park with 916 units, it's going to launch in August. So stay tuned to our channel, subscribe to us, follow us, like our page as we review other developments.